Any fuel source that falls outside of conventional diesel or petrol is classed as an alternative fuel. Some of these are still classified as fossil fuels, while others are produced entirely from renewable resources. How much do you know about the alternative fuels used in today's vehicles? Welcome to the Ryco Filters Training Academy. Biofuels are liquids that are derived from plant-based materials, and as such, they fall into the renewable energy segment. The two most common biofuels are ethanol and biodiesel. Traditionally, ethanol was only used in solvents, paint, alcoholic drinks, and even perfume. But today, we recognise it as a cheaper alternative at the service station. Ethanol is derived from biomass, which in Australia comes from wheat starch, grain, or sugarcane. When processed, we end up with a colourless, flammable, oxygenated hydrocarbon. Ethanol in Australia is commercially available in two blends, E10 and E85. This simply means that each is a mix of regular unleaded and ethanol. E10 contains up to 10% ethanol and E85 contains over 70%, but no more than 85% ethanol. E10 blended fuel is compatible with most vehicle makes and models produced since 1986. E85 is generally used in high performance vehicles as it has a much higher octane rating than petrol. We call road production models that are designed to run on all unleaded petrol types, or E85, flex fuel vehicles. These vehicles' fuel systems are nearly identical to a standard type, with the exception of an ethanol fuel sensor, which detects the ethanol content of the fuel and signals this information to the engine control module. The control module must alter the injection quantity and ignition timing to allow for E85's different air-fuel mixture requirements. Biodiesel is commonly produced from crops such as canola, sunflower, soy and rapeseed, or from animal fats like tallow, or even from recycled cooking oil. Biodiesel can be used as a fuel for vehicles in its pure form, but it's usually sold as a blend with regular diesel. The blends commercially available in Australia are B5, which is regular diesel with 5% biofuel, and B20, which contains a blend of 20% biodiesel. There are no modifications needed for a current generation CRD vehicle to operate with this biofuel. In fact, CRD vehicles produce lower levels of exhaust particulates, carbon monoxide and hydrocarbons when burning this fuel type. Liquefied petroleum gas, or LPG, has similar burning characteristics to unleaded petrol, although with a much higher octane rating. It's the most common alternative fuel used in vehicles today. The gas is compressed and stored at around 200 psi in the vehicle's dedicated LPG tank. At this pressure, the fuel is in a liquid state. Before the fuel can be ingested by the engine, its pressure must be dropped to slightly higher than atmospheric. This process is called conversion and is handled by the gas converter. The gaseous fuel is then metered and mixed with the intake air to achieve a combustible air-fuel ratio. Even though Australia currently has around 40 to 50 years of natural gas reserves, it's still the least used alternative vehicle fuel. One reason is because the fuel must be compressed to around 3,500 psi to be stored as a liquid. This is quite high when compared with LPG's 200 psi storage pressure. Although the cleanest burning fossil fuel, the high pressure storage results in very bulky and impractical fuel tanks for a relatively small liquid volume. In this regard, CNG is a popular fuel for larger vehicles, in particular light trucks and buses. A current disadvantage of CNG is the infrastructure required to store and dispense large quantities of fuel for everyday use. Hydrogen-powered cars generally use this fuel in one of two possible ways: through internal combustion or through fuel cell conversion. In the combustion method, the hydrogen is burned in the same manner as LPG or CNG. The hydrogen liquid is stored under pressure in a tank and, as needed, is fed to a converter, where it changes state to a gas. It is then ingested in a similar way to LPG. Hydrogen fuel cell conversion occurs when the hydrogen is turned into electricity through fuel cells, which is then used to turn an electric motor. The only byproduct from the spent hydrogen is water. Every alternate fuel vehicle still uses some form of liquid or air filtration system. So, whichever one you encounter, there's more than likely a Ryco product to suit each need. Keep following the Ryco Filters Training Academy and develop your knowledge with the market leaders in filtration. Thanks for watching.